on all of our social media platforms. You certainly be able to catch us anywhere in regards to Zim Papers, Star FM, The Herald, The Chronicle, as well as ZTN. My name is Rukudzo Vengesa, joined in studio this afternoon by two legendary cricket journalists here at Zim Papers, talking all things under-19 Cricket World Cup. To my left, I have Eddie Chikami, and to my right, we have Don Makanyanga. The three of us will be discussing for about the next 30 minutes everything to do with the Under-19 Cricket World Cup that our beautiful country, Zimbabwe, is co-hosting with Namibia. The tournament ongoing as we speak. We're now in the Super Sixes stage, done with the group stage, and now heading towards the end of the Super Sixes. After that, we have the semi-finals, and then, of course, the showpiece event itself. So, yes, plenty for us to discuss, but it being a Zimbabwean program, of course, we have to focus on our beloved young chevrons. Sadly, it has been a very difficult tournament for them. Their first match was washed out. Sadly, the weather managed to come in and prevent us from showing what we had against Scotland, a team a lot of us who may be expecting us to perform very well against. And then subsequently, it's been a very difficult tournament. Heavy losses to such big names as England and India, of course. So, yeah, plenty for us to discuss this afternoon. I want to start with Eddie, of course. Maybe we want to be positive because we love cricket. Definitely the second biggest sport in this country. It's got a lot of history. We have had so many good moments in it, going all the way back to the 90s when we finally got our test status. But as I said, we're going through a very difficult patch as things stand right now. Let's maybe just focus, though, on the positives from those heavy defeats. We started off in terms of the actual play against England, and we lost by, 8 wickets. And then we went on to play Pakistan, also lost heavily by 8 wickets. Yeah. But because of the shall we say, the quirk of qualification system, the net run rate allowed us to go into the Super Sixes as one of the third place teams in our group. We came up against India and also then suffered a heavy 204 run loss. But within those defeats, Eddie, can you find some positives for us to lean on, something to maybe hang our hat on and say, cricket is still very much alive and well, especially the grassroots structures here in Zimbabwe?
Okay, thanks, Rukudzo. It's been a difficult one for us. To start looking at positives, of course, obviously, that is shy as we do, but I think this tournament has been difficult for the Zimbabwe under-19s. As hosts, obviously, we expect to be doing well, playing on home soil in the familiar conditions. But unfortunately, like you mentioned, we have lost the matches that we've managed to play. And there have been obviously some positives in terms of our bowling. I think the last game we played against India, I think I can pick some more positives there, because taking 8 wickets against India, it's a brave fight. Because if you can look at India, the side that they have brought here, and the under-19s that played at, most of them, they played the Asia Cup, and they finished as runners-up to Pakistan, I think, some few weeks ago. So it's a team that is in form. And it was not surprising that they rode over us that easily. But from our side, I think we have a lot of things to do in terms of our cricket, because the under-19, it's the stage for the future talents, the future stars. That's where we get to see them. But as it stands, I think our team is not done very well. We lost the first game by 8 wickets, the second game by 8 wickets again. And both games, it's unfortunate that we have suffered batting collapses, but it's something that can be worked on. The short selection and some of the batting skills that the coaches can work on. But in terms of bowling as well, I think we've got some promising talents in the likes of Brandon Senzera. I think he did well the last game. We also have guys like Shoton Mastorera. We also have Panashe Mazai. These are promising talents that can be worked on. But in terms of results, Rukudzo, it's difficult to pick on positives. Maybe in terms of individual performances, that's when we can see, if we can work on one or two of these guys, our team we have a future there.
Don, as you heard from Eddie there, it seems like there's a serious problem across the board in Zimbabwean cricket in terms of our batting, because the first two defeats were leaned on, were caused really by the fact that we could not put up enough runs, and we were not at all challenging the likes of England and Pakistan to, by giving them a big total to chase. So that's maybe something that we have to fix across the board. But in terms of this particular team, you mentioned a few names there. Is there even just a case of just one good performance by a batsman that we can then say if he's like developed by maybe going to South Africa or maybe even the England county cricket system or something, that he can then enable us to then say in the future he can be one of our top openers and then help us in terms of our batting there?
Yeah, thanks, Rukudzo. Maybe firstly, before I go into your answers, the first biggest positive that we have as Zimbabwe is to host this Under-19 World Cup in our country.
Yeah, sure.
That is the biggest thing that we have done. That is the biggest positive before we go into the results. If you had to look at how the game was spread, we had some warm-up games being played in Masvingo, which has now been developed into an international facility which can host international games. But looking at the results and what you are saying about this particular World Cup, about the team, I would say there's a bright future if we're going to develop this team. It does mention some more names here, like the names of Shelton Mazitora. The good thing about Shelton Mazitora, he has played domestic cricket. He made his debut last year. Yeah. And you can see on his debut for Roxy, he took some wickets. In terms of bowling, on the bowling side, then you have got the likes of Simba Mzengere. He did well. We have got Leroy Chiwaula. I think he hit half a century against England. From that, we can develop some players. So I would say this is a team which needs to be kept in touch, to be kept intact. And maybe if something is to happen, I would just propose to ZC that this team should be part of the franchise system, giving them enough match exposure. But from my look at this team, yes, it mentions my names, but you to look at, we have got Nathan Hlabangani, we've got Mazai, we've got Simba Mzengere, we've got the Bligner twins. Obviously, I'm almost halfway the team. Then you can see that we have a team that needs to be kept intact. So my proposal is that for ZC, if you have to look again at this particular team, you are going to have the bulk of these players playing in the next World Cup. So this is just a stepping stone. And obviously, if we are to perform better at the highest stage, what we need to do is to focus on the grassroots, which I think has been done by the selection of this team.
Okay, before we start talking about...
Let me get in there. So okay. What we have here, Rukudzo, is potential. But in terms of delivery, I think we are not at the level that our opponents are at.
Yes, that's
if we can compare ourselves with the other teams.
That's the question I wanted to ask, is maybe the doom and gloom surrounding this team, is it unfair given the caliber of team we're playing? Or people may be looking back at the great teams of 2 decades ago who were finishing 6th and 7th in these tournaments and they were beating the likes of England and Australia. Are people not now being unfair and saying that we should be beating or competing with England and Pakistan and India, but maybe it's not fair because the standard of cricket they play week in, week out here in Zimbabwe does not meet what those guys are playing, as in the Indians and the English?
No, Rukuzo. So if we could be number 7 or number 8 in the past, then we should show some improvement. I think we should be moving upwards, not regressing backwards. Mm-hmm. So in terms of this team and where we are going, our under 19 level, Rukuzo, I think we have gone backwards. So I think we should probe why we are going backwards instead of developing like the other nations are doing. Look at the likes of Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. They came recently, but right now they are even at the senior level. We cannot compare ourselves with Afghanistan. We are now behind. And you can also see the likes of Ireland. They are coming up. They are improving with each and every year that they are playing cricket. But we are regressing. Why is it so? I think that is the question that we need to probe.
Don't you have an answer to that question, or you're also wondering, like the rest of us, why we're going backwards?
Yeah, in terms of wondering, yes, I'm wondering, but I think the solution, the first thing that we need to do when we solve these things is to look ourselves in the eye and say, where are we wrong?
Yeah.
And I think those who was right one is at wrong papi. I think both no select track our final was already to but the issue is the development. It's not happening in cricket alone. We are seeing it happening across the whole sporting sector. What we need to look at ourselves in the eye is as a country. Twitter seeing grassroots, Twitter seeing development. We used to participate at the highest level in terms of developing our developing national teams. So I would say yes, we're wondering why we're regressing, but it's not happening in cricket alone.
Yes, that's fair. Okay, let's just maybe then go to the actual nitty gritty of it in this particular team, Eddie. Selection itself.
Yeah.
Don says he feels that, I guess maybe I'm putting words in your mouth, Don, that you think this is the best available squad we can have of under 19 cricket players. Am I wrong in saying that?
In terms of saying the best, but sometimes we have to work with what we have.
So that's the best then. That's what we have. You're saying that's the best.
Maybe for them that is the best, because obviously when it comes to each selection, I will have my own team. Mm-hmm. But at the time we have to leave it to my selectors. We have to leave it to my coaches. Don't know so fana. Because at times I can come and say it. Glenora kuni mfana kuri bora. Akuda so ariku bowler akuda say as a rem team.
But each selection is it to come up with the best?
My selectors. So if these selectors feel this is their best team, then sometimes maybe I mean if I was going to choose my own team, I was going to face the same criticism.
And I guess maybe let's not be shy about this on this podcast, because we're going to be holding people's feet to the fire. There are a lot of accusations going around, idea of nepotism. Of favoritism of players in certain academies being given first choice in this team. We won't mention names, but do you feel that these allegations, these accusations are maybe just born out of frustration of the team's performances, or there's maybe some credence to it, there's some truth to the fact that some players maybe are leaning on who they know and who they've played under to play for the national team?
Yeah, I think these issues have been around for quite some time for now. The issues, because every time we have a selection, I've been following this up, the under-19 team, there's always this debate about who has been selected and who has been left out. Is this the best team that we have? Or is there favoritism, nepotism? Some even go to the extent of alleging regionalism. Mm-hmm. We've had these things going on, especially on the social media. That's where the people have the voice to speak. Yeah. But without concrete evidence, we cannot then pinpoint nepotism. Cannot abet regionalism. I think, like what Don said, it's the selectors' duty to come up with a team. So we have entrusted them as a nation to do this job for us. So we expect them to do a professional job and select the best that is available. But with what is available now, what we have, in fact, I think I doubt if this is the best that we have.
Okay.
Because in terms of statistics, some of them are not reflecting well. Yeah, people have been throwing around. I'm not sure if these statistics are correct, but if you have been following the debate on social media, there have been statistics that have been thrown around of players that have been left behind, and also the players that have been included in their statistics as well. But what I can suggest probably to ZC or to the selectors is that we need to have a transparent selection process. They need to explain their selection. How do they do it? And they also need to try and show us why certain players make the cut and why others are not. And in terms of that selection as well, we don't even know how it is done, where the selection, where their trials held, which statistics are being used, because at the under-19 level or at the bottom of that cricket level, we don't have leagues that are playing. So where do they get these players?
Depending on the school system.
In the school system. But is there a specific tournament that we can say we are picking players for national team from? Or we just use our feelings. From our school, we've got this one and this one. We take two from this one, two from... Are we not leaving the others behind that have got the potential? I think we need to have a proper platform where the young boys are given an opportunity to prove themselves. And we also need to have, like I said, something that is transparent. Selection shouldn't be hazy. They should explain it to the cricket followers and to the stakeholders as well.
There's another aspect of it maybe that we're overlooking, Don. coaching is always important in any sport, in terms of how the players are being platformed on the field of play, or in terms of tactics before, what you're going to do if you win the toss, things like that, how you're going to set the field, selection of bowlers, different spells, and of course as well the actual, as in developing the skills of the players. I'm going to call people out again. Do you feel that our coaching staff as well is also doing the very best job it can, or they're just working what they have?
Yeah, maybe before I come to that, Rukuzo, I will need to agree in what he said about the selection.
Okay.
That we need to hold these selectors accountable. Like, we have now lost 3 games. 3 straight games, yeah.
Yeah.
Heavily.
Yes, heavily. But at the end of the tournament, what we need is these selectors to come and tell us what happened. If they're going to resign, let them resign. We need them to come and tell us. And another issue which we talked about, which you asked Ed about, the issue about nepotism, the issue about regionalism, favoritism. Rukudzo, Ed, it's really difficult to deal with. There's a heavy involvement in my parents.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a heavy involvement in my academies. There's a heavy involvement in my coaches.
And the schools themselves.
The schools themselves.
Influence.
So, because you find we are now living in a digital era. You could take in higher my keyboard critics. I can get 1 5 good boys who want to say this thing. But so it depends with who is the loudest on social media in terms of criticizing. That is another issue in terms of my selections. You have to look at it sometimes with a critical eye.
See, some people running agendas.
Yeah, there are some people who run agendas. And we've seen it. We are doing grounds once we are working. And this is not the first thing that happened. It happened. So I keep referring to other sports. It happened in Morocco recently. A parent of some other player came saying, involvement in my parents. But my selectors you have to be held accountable. Then coming to your issue coaching, it's a difficult one. Most would find with the head coach is Elton Kumbra. He has done well at national level. He has done his papers. And these are the guys that have been with this. And you look at the different aspects in cricket. You are talking about bowling, you are talking about betting. Shakawanda is really involved. But obviously, issue comes back to coaching. But then I think my issue comes back on your exposure. Are we giving these guys enough games to face my big teams? If we were to go forward to my franchise system, let's just have a policy from my regions, from my franchise. If I event.
Yes, 5.
ZC must make it a must for them to get exposure. To incorporate playing 11 in my teams. Exposure to we are building on 2028. Chimbocha get akune rafana ruma under 16. Vanama 16 years. Vanopinzwa home. Vazoti kufesa zvindizvi. Ngati sati takuda kuenda before we go out there kuti takunotamana na India. But sometimes inyaya exposure. But it's like me competing with it's like an intern coming here to compete with Ed pakunyora. Ed always thrive. He always win my awards at the end of the day. Saka vafana vanhu vachitamba vega bhozi vakutozati atamba World Cup because unofana akadzokera pachikoro kana unotamba World Cup indine fear ndikufesa mufana abva unotamba World Cup ndinorowa 100 pa 20 balls. Saka ndo imwe system inoda kugadziriswa iyoyi.
All right. Your views on the coaching?
Let me start by addressing this one. I think ZC, let's take for example the team, let's say in England, because obviously they set the pace, so you have to learn from them. Most, if not all of their players in the under-19 side, they play county second league. Something that we don't have here. Where our players playing their cricket? At which level? And they want to compete with someone who is playing a county second team. So I think these gaps, they need to be addressed by ZC in terms of our domestic structures. Probably if we can have a franchise second league, it's my wild thought.
So but do we have enough players to maybe populate that, to make it worth their while? Because you can just get anyone to come off the street and play that, but they have to be of the requisite quality.
We're talking about cricket being played in schools. How many schools are playing cricket?
Okay.
So we can always get the players to populate those leagues. Give everyone that opportunity to play, and we all see them, and they make their starts, and we can judge at the end of the season. Could this one deserves, this one doesn't. Instead of getting players on recommendations from parents and schools.
Okay.
Yeah, so we need that.
Just to add in from what Ed is saying, we've got Nash, we've got these same private schools. ATS, right? We can have players from a Southern Region League, a Northern Region League. If there are no resources, let us run a Southern Region League. At the end of the year, we just pick, because cricket is a game of statistics.
Yes, it's about statistics.
To pick on my best statistics, we go. If we're going to pick 30 players from Southern Region, if we're going to pick 30 players from Northern Region, which one we take to time game Queen Sports Club, to time game Mutare Sports Club, Array Sports Club. From there, we can pick my players with the best, maybe 22 or 25. We come up with a team that we need to develop. What's this issue we have to wait for a major tournament to say that we are now going to my schools to check my players? It's not going to help us anyway in development.
It certainly is not. It certainly is not. Eddie, but to come on the coaching aspect of things, just to maybe hone in on what's going wrong in this particular tournament, do you feel that the Otinchigumbura-led coaching staff have something to answer for?
Yeah, of course. When a team doesn't get results like what we're experiencing at the moment, the coach has everything to explain. Because the buck stops with the coach. So I think Elton Chigumbura has got everything to explain at the end of the tournament. Obviously, I'm sure he's going to present his report to his superiors at ZC. But maybe where I want to go to is in the terms of the coaching appointments. How are the coaches appointed? Is there an advert that is flighted to, or do they headhunt? What do they look at when they appoint the coaches? Because in my own opinion, in Iniga, I feel good. The under-19s, they are a delicate age group. They need someone with experience, someone with hands-on experience. Of course, Elton, he did well as a player, but in terms of coaching, I'm not very sure. I'm sure he's, in my own opinion, he's a green one in terms of coaching, of which
maybe win franchise.
But winning franchise, anyone can do it with a good team.
With a good team.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is probably we need someone who has been in the trenches for a longer period, who understands the philosophy of working with the youngsters. Not just basing on a good team. He was a very good player during his playing days, or that he has won a franchise recently. Anyone can win a franchise with a good team, you see. So my point is, I think we need some to revisit our appointment process and probably look at the qualifications, the experience. Because the under-19s, in my own opinion, Don Ravi, I think that group, they need someone who is a father figure. When I say a father figure, I mean experience.
Who understands my juniors.
And knows how to work with those youngsters and so forth.
So are we going back to the likes of Stephen Mangongo and the people who have been in that special position of being head coaches of under-19, great under-19 teams for Zimbabwe in the past, talking about 2 decades ago, things like that. Are we going back to them then?
Yeah, but I'm not saying Steve Mangongo.
For example, it's an example.
Yeah, it's an example that you're giving. But what I wanted to say is, if you look at Timi Angaina and Steve Mangongo, it did very well. They did compete with some of this side that we are now struggling to play with, the likes of Bangladesh, even Afghanistan. We are struggling with them. But if you look at, let's take for example the 2002 World Cup team, Yangaina Mangongo World Cup team, Yangaina na Taibu, and Brendan Taylor, and I'm sure even Elton was there. It exuded with a lot of potential, and we saw the products even after the tournament. Those guys, they went on to do very well at senior level. Yeah. So I think at the under-19s, they need someone who has got that father figure, someone who has got that pinch in Stephen Mangongo, for sure. And I think these guys, they are not going to more because we're not.
I think people just coming in by issue. If I look at that team by then, That time, ZC had a very good school system.
Very
cricket,
good. Yeah.
which I think
Very
they should go back to. Most of that was, I think by that time I was still in Kwekwe. I remember I would be coached by this kind of off-season title coach one national team player who was with Pama Uyu. Kuti dzidzisa cricket and kunoona aitorekomendwa nezc vaendawo but iko zvino pazoita issue yemaacademy kuti I can just do my level 1 painternet apa and then I think I'm now a coach
Ndovhura academy.
ndoda kutovhura academy but what we need is a good schools cricket system.
So yes, actually, that's now a perfect segue to my next question. Maybe you can start it off, continue, Don, in terms of the actual grassroots development, the system now that is needed, because we need to move forward from these under-19s. We're going to need another new batch of youngsters coming through. How do we create them now to get to a stage where they'll be comfortable now, even if, let's say, God forbid, they don't manage to play enough games against high-level nations? How can we create a system that produces those very good youngsters like we used to do 2 decades ago?
Yeah, I think by issue Rukudzo, what we need is a good age group system. But at times, much is duty as the Zimbabwe cricket, but it's our duty together from our schools. Nana Nash, Nana Uy, and Feed. Nash can approach ZC. When I do my age groups, they use from under 13 under Uy, then they can get something. What we just need now is an age group system which can be adopted in Zimbabwe cricket. And from there we can build a good cricket system. You create a pipeline. Kwete kuti tombosvika pe kuti akumana taku national team pe kuti hey ko 40 year old yachiri kutamba ere ngaidzuke imbotamba. What we need is a good system, a proper one, a proper pipeline. You don't know that munhu achibva kuma 13 14 tione a development program iri kukwidza kubva pasi china mudenga.
Aren't we now then having to deal, though, Eddie, with our education culture as well in Zimbabwe? Because for that to happen, as Don rightly said, it needs buy-in from parents, it needs buy-in from school heads, and then as well ZC maybe will be directing it. Do you feel that we'll be fighting an uphill battle given our education culture about where you must be focused on books first, sports come second, and for that to for you to create a proper pipeline now, you need parents who are actually willing to let their children be top sports persons, not just cricketers.
Yeah, of course, Rukuzo, there is need to balance education and sport. And I'm sure ZC, they are aware of it. The Minister of Education, they are also aware of that. But in terms of the school system, I think it's vast. And when something is as big as that, it's difficult to manage. But ZC, with their blueprint, I'm sure they know what they want to achieve, what they want to produce. So I think coordinating with the ministry in terms of how cricket should be played in schools, the cricket calendar, and balancing it with their books, I'm sure it's something that can be achieved. It's something that is not unachievable. It can be achieved if we want to. So it's very, very key, crucial to probably identify my talents. Then we work with those talents, and it now. Then I'm also proposing that probably the ZC High Performance Center should be functional. Then we can second some of the future prospects or the potential that we see from our schools system.
Very quickly, gents, we have to close up this very first episode of our podcast. But in brief, Don, just give us your grade of Zimbabwe's hosting of this tournament, given we'll be co-hosting the senior men's tournament next year.
Yeah, I think we've done well. I expect for the weather that maybe was just challenging. It was a rainy season, but obviously the next World Cup is going to happen sometime in October
and November, so it'll be fine.
Yeah, it will be fine. So for now, I can, out of 10, I can give them 7.
Eddie?
Yeah, I think it has been well coordinated. I think ZC have done a good job. Also seeing new venues like Takashinga also coming in and taking cricket to the people. So they have done well.
I would agree with you. I think actually, all things considered, particularly the weather, they've done particularly well. And I think International Cricket Council will be very happy with what they've produced. So, Jens, I think on that note, we'll close up this first episode of Beyond the Boundary. Thank you very much, Eddie Chikami and Don Makanyanga, for joining me. I'm Rukudzo Wengesa. We hope to do this every single Thursday. Beyond the Boundary, Zim Papers Sports Hub primary cricket podcast. Thank you very much for watching. We'll be back again next week.